Yes, sorry.
Are you confident that this is the only incident involving the ministerial driver and Jo Haylen?
Look, that's a fair question. My understanding is it is, but I'll be quizzing and asking for more information from Minister Haylen in the coming day to ensure that that is the case, but I'm not aware of any others.
Should there be an audit of all driver logbooks in the wake of this?
Well, I mean, I expect everybody to comply with the rules, but I also expect everybody to show good judgment here. I think, and I want to make it clear, I'm certainly not coming here today and saying because this is an incident complied with the rules, it's okay. It's not. It's bad judgment by any stretch of the imagination. With that in mind, I think the best thing I can do is look at changing the rules to ensure that this isn't done again and that the public can have confidence that it doesn't come down to a judgment call by a minister. It's just not allowed. Maddie.
How are you changing?
What do you deem to be acceptable? Should ministers use ministerial drivers for any private function?
Ministerial drivers, I mean, the first point here is it's a privilege to have a driver. It's certainly not a right. And all drivers need to be treated with respect. And the job of a driver is to help the minister in their role. And there may be a point in time for a busy minister's life that the kids are dropped off at school on the way to the office with the minister in the car. Now that would be done so that my ministers can work even harder on behalf of New South Wales taxpayers. I think that there's a world of difference between that and organising for a trip up the North Coast for a purely private function. But there are rules that we're drafting up that we need to get in place. I don't have them with me today, but I need to make sure that they're in place so it doesn't happen again and that these incidents aren't reliant on just good judgment. They're not allowed.
For instance, say a private party in a minister's own electorate-owned suburb, using ministerial driver to drive a minister home from something like that, would that be deemed as acceptable?
Yeah, look, I mean, it must be in the service of the minister doing their job. So if it's a purely private function, it has nothing to do with work, it doesn't help them do their job, then the answer is no.
You mentioned that this is a lapse of judgment.
Yes.
You also mentioned the portfolio of the jobs that both these ministers do. What makes you confident that a lapse of judgment isn't going to happen when they're touching on these really important issues on the day-to-day of their work?
Yeah, look, I mean, I can't promise a perfect government. We can't promise perfect ministers. No one can. Mistakes are going to be made. Judgments and errors are going to be made when it comes to judgment. I guess I could just say that working with both ministers on very complex issues, whether they're industrial issues, budget issues, metro rollout, infrastructure spends, I do have confidence that it's being handled appropriately. But this can't happen again.
That's where we leave Chris Minns. He's talking about Jo Haylen, saying he's not going to defend the indefensible there. What she did, she took a driver. He worked a 13-hour shift to pick her up from Sydney, take her to a holiday house in Caves Beach, then to a lunch at the Hunter Valley. That's where she stayed for lunch, nothing to do with work, and then that driver waited and took her all the way back. She charged that to the taxpayer. Now, the cost is estimated to be around $750. That is in the rules, but she's going to pay it back because, as Jo Haylen has said, it doesn't quote-unquote pass the pub test. Chris Minns would agree with that sentiment today. He said, whilst it was in the rules need to change, and that's what he is working on today.